Hello students, here is Ashu Gupta, Assistant Professor. Again welcomes you all on the behalf of Indraprasth Law College. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the secondary sources of international law in detail. So now let's open the books and start the slide. Here you may see that we have already discussed in the previous lecture about the primary sources of international law as international customs, international conventions or treaties, general principles of laws, judicial decisions and teachings. Now today's lecture we are going to discuss about the secondary sources on international law in detail. So let's start and move on the next slide. Now you may see that the writings of the legal scholars. The writers of international law such as Gentile, Crotius, Pufendorf and Vattel were a primary factor in the evolution of the modern international law. They were the supreme legal authorities of the 16th to 18th centuries. They determined the scope, form and content of international law. And here Article 38 of Statute of ICJ also includes as a subsidiary means for the determination of rule of law the teachings of the most qualified publicists of the various nations. The term teaching of publicists means writings, opinions or works of legal scholars, jurists and writers. Basically, the primary function of these writings is to provide reliable evidence of the law. Writers on the international law cannot make the law. Their works are to elucidate and ascertain the principles and rules of international law. And the rules and principles must have received the consent, whether express or implied, by the state. So I think you have cleared this. Now let's move on the next slide. However, the importance of legal writings began to decline as a result of the emphasis on the state sovereignty. Treaties and customs assumed the dominant position in the exposition and development of international law. Nevertheless, the opinion of legal scholars can provide evidence of the existence of customary law and can help in developing new rules of law. Uh, you may see that the opinions of the legal scholars are used widely, and arbitral tribunals and national courts make extensive use of the writings of jurists. Uh, Although the International Court of Justice makes little use of jurisprudence and judgment contain few references, this is primarily because of the willingness of the court to avoid a somewhat undesirable selection of citations. However, many references to writers are found in the pleadings before the court. आप जान सकते हैं कि बेसिकली राइटिंग्स ऑफ लीगल स्कॉलर्स इतना ज़्यादा यहाँ पर एम्फेसाइज नहीं रखता है क्योंकि स्टेट सॉवरेनिटी यहाँ पर प्रिवेल करता है, लेकिन फिर भी जहाँ पर ज़रूरत पड़ती है एज अ रिसर्च स्कॉलर कोर्ट को या रूल ऑफ लॉ के समय उन प्रिंसिपल्स की जो प्रिंसिपल्स जूरिस्ट के द्वारा राइटिंग्स ऑफ जूरिस्ट के द्वारा पब्लिश किए जाते हैं तो उन्हें यहाँ पर इंटरप्रेट किया जाता है और जजमेंट्स में उन्हें साइटेशंस के अंतर्गत सेलेक्ट भी किया जाता है समय समय पर. Let's move on the next slide. Now the second secondary source of international law is equity, that is also known as ex equo et bono. And despite the application of the principle of equity by the international courts, the existence of equity as a separate and distinct source of law is highly controversial. Basically, that is highly controversial, and some regard equity as a source of international law and apply it as distinguished from law. However, they often appeal to natural law in order to strengthen their argument. Thus, to them, the three terms equity, justice, and natural law tend to merge into one another. And during the 16th and 17th centuries, natural law was a major source of international law. But in the 19th and 20th centuries, arbitrators have often been authorized to apply justice and equity as well as international law. Such authorizations were more common before 1920 than they are today. And now the Article 38 of the Statute of ICJ lists ex aequo ad bono as alternative basis for decisions by the court in place of the normally employed legal rules. The court can decide a case submitted to it on the behalf of the ex aequo ad bono if the judges wants. That's why it allows the court to decide a case on considerations other than legal rules, or even in the contrary to these rules, if it says that justice can be served thereby. Thus, the term is also known as, the meaning of that term is justice and fairness. That is the basic meaning of the ex aequo ad bono or the equity. Let's move on the next slide. Other scholars do not recognize equity as a separate and distinct source of law. They regard the principle of equity as part of the general principle of law that are common to all national legal systems. Whatever the position may be, it is doubtful whether equity form a source of international law. It cannot be assumed that a judge uses equity as a source of law. Every time he describes a rule as equitable or just strictly, equity cannot be a source of law. Yet it may play an important role in supplementing the law, or may appear as a part of judicial reasoning. And a judge or arbitrator can always use equity to interpret or fill gaps in the law, even when he has not been expressly authorized to do so. But he may not give a decision ex aequo ad bono unless he has been expressly authorized to do so. That's why neither the International Court of Justice nor its predecessors, the PCIJ, has been called upon to decide a case ex aequo ad bono, although principles of equity have been applied by these courts in some cases, such as North Sea Continental case dictated the delimitation between the parties West Germany, Holland, and Denmark in accordance with the equitable principles, and the PCIJ in the diversion of water from the Meuse River case 1937 applied principles of equity after considering them as a part of international law, which it should apply. Moreover, international arbitral tribunals have resorted to the principles of equity in several cases. You will have been enjoyed the whole session and successfully enumerated it into your study and be benefited from this presentation. Thank you. We will meet soon again with a new session. Thank you very much. Be safe and stay at home.